Hi there and welcome to headquarters. Don't forget to tell them that even though we do find some really good things in this video, it's predominantly about how to dig deep targets in pasture and what sort of signals that you should be looking out for. Okay, bugger off. Okay. Well, I don't think I've got any more to add to that, so let's go straight to the fields.
Well, I've been wanting to do this video for ages, and one of the reasons I haven't done it is more often than not when I come out on a metal detecting day out, I really want to be finding good stuff. I'm just waiting to try and find good things to start recording and to make a really good video of interesting things that I can take you back and research and all the rest of it. But today, I'm out on a bit of pasture I haven't been on in a while, and I'm concentrating on a bit that I don't do very often because there's not an awful lot in it, I don't think. So it gives me the perfect chance to do this now, and that is using this machine, the XP Deus II, without a remote and digging really tricky signals. Now, I'm not going to just be digging the signals that I do like, I'm going to be digging the signals that I think you should avoid. I really honestly believe that with this machine, if you are just using your ears, and you should only really be using it one way, and I believe that is to hear everything. You must be able to hear everything. Don't notch anything out. Don't go for tone breaks that are making things below 40 sound good, or even worse, things below 30 or 40 sound really bad. When you are digging things at depth in pasture, it's going to hardly make any noise at all. And that noise that it does make, if you're lucky, it'll be nice and sharp, and that's a very good sign. More often than not, it's a sign that I don't believe will even show up on the remote. I don't think it'll show up on the line. I don't think it'll show up on anything. It's a tiny, wispy signal that you've got to ascertain how much iron is in that signal that's putting me off digging it, or rather, more importantly, how little iron is there, because it's always at depth going to give some sort of little murmur or grunt, always. And I think there's definitely a place for all these fancy programs with fancy names, but quite frankly, stick it in sensitive FT, sensitive full tones, trust your ears, and lower the discrimination to nothing, -6.5. It'll take a bit of getting used to, but it means you do hear everything. Nothing's being notched out, nothing's being ignored. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm convinced that if you are notching things out or you're not aware of lower sound, that must be affecting the good sound amongst it. So after all that, there's not going to be much rhyme or reason to this video. I'm not going to give you rules and do them one by one. We're just going to find targets. We're going to work out whether they should be dug or not, and then we will dig them or not. Or in fact, what we'll do is we'll probably dig them to prove to ourselves, hopefully, why we don't dig them. I really don't believe you should be digging everything. If you want to be successful with this machine, you've got to be disciplined with what you dig. Can't dig everything. You'll just be wasting your time, which could be devoted to digging the good things. That's the idea today anyway. And the most important thing is it doesn't matter if we don't find anything. What does matter, I don't care if it's a cartridge or a piece of lead or anything rubbish like that. What matters is if that thing could have been something good. That's all I care about. We're going to start off on a nice easy one. Okay. There it is, sorry about that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Accidentally forgot to switch the speaker on, we'll do that now though. I think you would have heard me because there's no wind. How often do I say that?
Okay. Could easily be a cartridge. Don't know what number it is, but it's low, not inspiring. I'm guessing, well, I'm not going to guess because I just simply don't have a clue. But it's got no iron in it at all. One of the reasons I'm doing this video on pasture is that any old fool can use this on arable land. I mean, it takes a little bit of getting used to, yes, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, again, what iron not to dig, but it's not rocket science, but pasture is. Don't think it's a cartridge fan, I think it's too small. Well, I think we might have got lucky there. Let's just show you there what it is. Much sharper now, isn't it? once you've got it out of the ground. That's the thing. Anything at any depth with this machine, unless it's a really high conductor, it's going to sound low. It's going to be the sort of thing that a lot of you I know notch out. You shouldn't be notching anything out. If it's close to the surface and sounding foily, it's going to be foil, almost certainly, or something very similar. But that same sound, that far under, is different. Now, what have I done with it? It is either a little buckle or it's a little ring. Or, look, it's just a hoop. But it's a hoop that has definitely had a little bit of ferrous there. I think it's a hoop that's been made into, looks like it's been made into some sort of buckle or brooch, doesn't it? It looks like it may have had a pin fashioned around it there. So actually that's a bloody good stop, because that could have been anything. That could have been something really, really wonderful. It's not, but it could have been. Right, let's keep going. Let's find some more tricky ones. It's going to be tricky ones from now on. It's really annoying, just as I start filming. Bloody great tractors kicking off over there and doing a load of shifting stuff around. I'm just going to basically in this video talk you through my thought process, okay? And if you like it, then use it, and I think you'll be successful. And if you don't, then just keep doing what you're doing. Now, to me, that sounds okay. Going on that, I dig it. Just. You can hear the iron a bit, but there's quite a nice two-way signal amongst it. I'm going round it, as you all know you should. I'm still getting it, but it seems to have moved about 2 inches north. And it's much squeakier. Now I'm back on not a bad middle target, even though bit of iron there, bit of iron all round it. I'm still getting a signal. Now it's moved again. It's not a great sign. If you're getting a little bit of a signal and it's in the same place wherever you go, it's probably something near iron or amongst iron. It just tends to be diggy. There is definitely some iron there, isn't there? Where is it? Now, so I'm going to dig it. I think it's got more of a chance of being good than bad. But if I was on a field full of great targets and I didn't have much time, I may not. It's one of those. I'm not digging it because I want to prove it's iron. I think it might well be iron. But I'm digging it because I would dig it. There's enough going on. I was getting something all the way around, even though it was changing a bit and moving a bit. That's not a great sign. There's the iron. It's not in there. That is the target. Well, maybe not. Okay, whatever the iron was, the iron bit's out. And it is quite an interesting little bit of, I don't know, that looks nice and old to me though. It's a good sign. Is there anything else? Yes, is the answer. Possibly more iron. That's more encouraging, believe it or not. It's in the wall. Right, the camera flicked off. It's going on for so long. Bear with me. It might be worth it for Deus users. Okay, so after all that, we had the bit of iron. It's even sounding a little bit grumbly in the hole still. That's not iron. That was worth digging. Probably just a bit of lead, I would have thought. It's the thing that makes the best sound of any target you will ever dig. It's a little musket ball. It's a little lead musket ball. And for once, I don't mind at all. That was brilliant. That was a really successful dig. I'm pleased with that. Well, maybe this will turn into rather a good day. I didn't do this one, that was far too obvious. Very, very foily sounding. Now I'm about 4 inches off it now, 3 inches off it. Much deeper than that, you're not going to, it's not going to pick up. Because it's absolutely tiny piece of silver. Very foily sounding. And it's a farthing, almost sure of it. It's a beautiful one. It's a little Edward. I think that's too small to be a halfpenny or a halfpenny. That's just absolutely lovely. We won't be digging these live. Anything which is just obviously a target and with no iron, we won't bother with, because again, anyone can hear those. It's up to you whether you dig them or not, but anyone can hear it, and that's fabulous. A tiny piece of medieval silver, tiny. Right, here's another one. I really enjoy doing these videos because there's no pressure to find anything at all. It's wonderful, even though you do. Now, this isn't a problem one, this is an easy one. But it's low. Very uninspiring, isn't it? It is funny how we naturally go to the really hard hitting, higher, louder, sharper, higher pitched signals, but you can't ignore these on pasture. If that's giving you that on the surface on an arable field and you were digging up tiny bits of foil, I wouldn't dig it, no way. But you would hear, because it could be something at depth which is actually more conductive than it's letting on. That's the real secret to this. I don't know what other machines are like. I do think probably that the Manticore and Equinox machines like that, they probably do punch a bit deeper. People do tend to say they punch a bit deeper, but if you keep your ears open with this, I'm not so sure. I think people miss a lot with the Deus, especially if you use the remote and not your ears, because you're not listening out for things that you can hardly hear. Now, the other thing that I'm going to say very quickly, I probably use it in the wrong settings. I use this on program number 3, sensitive full tones. I lower the reactivity because I don't want everything sounding on the surface. I want, not the reactivity, sorry, the audio response, because I want to know depth. I need to know depth. I don't want everything sounding as shallow than it is. And I have no discrimination at all. I lower that right down as far as it can go. Now, I suspect if you've got a fancy name to your program and all the rest of it, it might do all sorts of things. And I suspect if I played around with this, I might get a bit more depth, but I don't need to, because I know exactly what this is telling me. I don't need it to sound sharper or louder. I know what to look out for. Now, I don't think that's a cartridge. It's bang on the surface, so let's have a quick look. Not on the surface, on the end. So what? Let's give or take another one. 4 inches. Yeah, it is a cartridge. No, it's not. Yes, it is. It's a smallish cartridge. Again, today that doesn't matter. If I'm digging them all, that sound, and with that, because it did actually, to be fair, it did sound a bit soft. It didn't sound like a nice thick piece of metal. Well, this is quite an interesting one. I mean, at first it feels very obvious, but it's not perfect, is it? It's slightly stuttery. It's okay from there. Bit of iron there. I mean, it's very scratchy. There's a bit of iron there. But I mean that you'd dig that every single day of the week, wouldn't you? You'd never ignore that. Even though it's not perfect, as I said, it could easily be something with a bit of iron in it. But I don't think the iron I mean, what? Possibly a cartridge with a bit of ferrous still remaining. That's what's causing the scratchiness. It's not a particularly scratchy machine, the XP Deus, running like this. It's either good or bad. Look at that huge piece of flint that the cavemen haven't got to. We're near the Valley of the Cavemen here. Well, we're in the Valley of the Cavemen. I mean, I just don't know how deep this is or what it's made of or anything. I can't guess. But even scratching now, but I just don't think it's iron. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about iron and whether or not you want to dig it. That's the bottom line. So it doesn't matter when you say, oh, don't dig these numbers or those numbers. Is it iron or isn't it iron? And if it's not iron, do you want to dig it? That's what it boils down to. You don't need numbers. You don't need anything like that. It's whether you want to dig iron or not. It's simple. Well, look, it's deep, and that's why it's possibly so scratchy, because we're now going 9-10 inches easily, I would have thought. And it's still sounding scratchy. It's not nice. It's a hunk of lead. I'm surprised at that. Gosh, there's lead and there's lead, isn't there? But that really is loud lead. Let's have a look. It's not a spindle whorl, but it has got a hole in it. And I bet that's a little bit of metal, a little bit of iron maybe coming out there. I'll put the thing on. That feels like, I bet that's it. I bet that's what was making it so scratchy. I don't think it's a spindle whorl. It's too big and heavy, but it's that sort of shape, and it's got a hole that runs through it. It's a weight of sorts, I think. This is fun. Okay, what about this one? Can you hear that? Bit of iron there. To get these initially, you really have to concentrate. You'll be walking around like that and you'll hear that one little chimp and you have to concentrate on it. Is it iron? Probably yes, go on. But you do have to listen for that initial signal. That is the hard bit. Now there, I'm getting something. I don't know what it is, it's something. And there's ground and iron around it. Sounding a bit more grumbly. That sounds terrible, you wouldn't dig it from that angle. I would dig it from that angle, definitely. Now that is so low. And you can be forgiven for even passing it by. If you were going quickly, you wouldn't hear it. Wouldn't dig that. Right. Anyhow, there it is. I don't know, but I would dig this. I'll get you some signals soon that I wouldn't dig, and we'll dig them anyway to prove my point or not. Bit sharp and sweeter now, isn't it? Would you have dug that if you were just passing it with this machine? But a lot of you wouldn't have done, and I bet you wouldn't have done if you'd had the remote out. It looks probably horrible. It's probably a 2.2 cartridge or something like that. But doesn't matter, not iron. And if you're in an area where things could be good and it's not iron, you have to dig it. It's in here. Yeah, it's horrible, but it doesn't matter because it could have been a Roman coin. It's the end to a rifle thing. These are really conductive, super conductive, horrible targets, but it's not iron, and you could easily have missed it. And on a normal day, I'd be, oh God, another one of these. Today, I'm thrilled because I'm pitching myself. Okay, cats, what about this one? Now, I'll try and find some really nice targets as well. It'd be fun to dig up something I've got a really, think's a really good chance of being good. But all these have got a good chance of being good. Now, I was walking along, I got a little squeak. It stopped me, so I'm investigating. Mainly iron, isn't it? Iron there. Amongst it, there is a more enticing sound. But it's, even though it's almost two-way, it's a bit stuttery. Now, I think there's too much iron. There's too much iron going on there. Even though amongst it is a targety. If you're really clever with this machine, you can bring out that good bit. You don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be convincing yourself it's good. At certain angles, you'll go, oh gosh, it's really good by doing exactly the right thing in order to get the nice sound. We'll dig it. I wouldn't dig it, and nor would you. I know you wouldn't. But we will dig it, because I want to see what it is. Misshapen iron will give little bits. Parts of it will give the good target. You've got to work out, is it part of the iron, or is it a separate target, or is it amongst iron? And this machine is bloody brilliant at that. I mean, the separation of... Oh, well, look, now listen to that. Might be proved really, really badly wrong here. I think it's part of the iron still, but do you hear that angle? But this angle, I think it's part of the iron. I think it's a wonky piece of rusty iron. Yeah. Which at a right angle, funny how after the first initial bit of digging, it was sounding even better. Now, is that all it is? Put that there. That's what it is. Got some horrible flies about it at the minute. It's an old piece of odd, naily iron. But we wouldn't have dug that. I don't think any of us would have been particularly fooled. And it might have been something okay, but probably only about a 2% chance. And those aren't big enough odds for me to dig that. No way. Don't dig everything, I mean it. Right, here's another little buzzer. This is the last one we'll do of these, otherwise they'll get a bit boring. You can hear the ground and the iron around it. But there's a very low sound around it. Now, gut feeling it's a cartridge, not iron. That is just no chance of being iron whatsoever. But it could be quite easily missed, because it's just not conductive enough to be giving a really strong signal. I mean, Pasture's tough for me because, as you know, I go so fast. I've got to really concentrate, slow myself down a bit. I still won't go at a snail's pace, but as soon as I hear anything which is slightly of interest, I stop and investigate. But it didn't happen so much with the Deus I. With the Deus II in its multi-frequency, you're getting, for want of a better expression, if you run it like I do with no discrimination, you're going to get falsing all the time, but you can check it very quickly. Sounding very foily. I don't think it is foil because there's no foil in this field. So I've got to dig these. Don't think it's a cartridge, it's too small. Out. That's a tiny piece of lead. If you're digging up just tiny pieces of lead and you get bored, don't do it. But that could have been anything. It could have been a hammer coin, could have been a little silver Celtic unit. Right, no more buzzies. I've gone through the buzzy ones now. Well, I cannot believe it. That's sod's bloody law. I'm absolutely thrilled because I haven't looked at it properly yet, but I know what it is. That's what it sounds like now. And when it was in the hole, a buzz like that. And having dug up that piece of lead, I just thought, well, it'd probably be another piece of lead. That's a little buzzer, okay? That's just what we're talking about. I can't believe I didn't do this one instead of the other one. It's infuriating. But I can't be upset because it's tiny. Now, I think this, it's Saxon. Is it a stiker, which is a little bronze Saxon coin, not a silver one? I've never found a stiker before. I believe they are found more in the north to where we are here in East Anglia. But look, wow. You can turn it over. Got a bit of mud on this side still. Wow-wee. Now, yes, I don't think it is a sticker. I think it's a little Saxon My God, I've never found one like that before. Is it silver? I presume so. I don't think it would look so perfect if it were bronze. Well, that's just made my day, and it was just a little bossy sound. Look, it's an educational video, really, but we got to go back with this because I'm not going to remind you how it sounded, but that noise would not have come up on your remote. That tiny little wisp would not have come up. I'm convinced of it. You wouldn't have got a number or a line. It was just too fine. So you've got to use your ears. Anyway, look, let's go back to headquarters. Well, I didn't film this because, listen, it was right on the surface. It was just a centimetre in that molehill, that stamped down molehill. But that's what it sounded like there, okay? Not a very tricky one, but could be a rather lovely find. Look, it looks rusty, doesn't it? But it's not. Now, I think it must be a clothes hook of sorts, where you've got the holes there. That's the back of it, and that's the hook section. So hopefully we'll have rather a lovely design on there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Ah. Wow. Well, look, I have just gone to headquarters, but then I found this immediately, so I paused headquarters and we'll go there properly now. That's got to be Saxon as well, hasn't it? Am I in a little Saxon area all the way down here? There's water behind those trees, a little stream. I always thought we were a bit too low to find anything here, a bit floodplainy. But who knows, maybe not. Let's go.
Hi there, welcome to headquarters. And as I said, even though the finds in this video are secondary, we had to have a look at these. We couldn't let these go. But we do go back to the field straight away because I couldn't really have asked for more that day. I decided on the day to do that sort of video. And it really, everything that I wanted to illustrate worked really, really well. And we do find some other really good things at some depth, just targeting those really dodgy signals. But anyway, look, firstly, this coin. Now, at the time, The condition is so good that I thought it must be silver. But I also did feel, oh dear, people get so upset when I drop these. I'm sorry, it's okay, it's all fine. Landed on my keyboard, not damaged at all. I did feel at the time that the condition of the coin is so good that it had to be silver. It's not silver. It is one of these bronze stikers. Now, these are pretty much, I think, only really issued in the north of England. So to find them in the south is, well, it's not uncommon, but it's not very usual either. I don't know much about stikers, but the lettering is really, really clear and it's absolutely beautiful on both sides. And I put it up on the detectinghub.co.uk, where else, where Electors very quickly got back to me and confirmed that it was an Ethelred II stiker. Now, there are two Ethelreds. So originally I thought Ethelred II, that's the unready. That doesn't really tie in with 9th century coins because he was later than that. But there are two Ethelreds. There's that one, the very famous one, the unready, and which I think is sort of early 11th century. Here we go. Ethelred II, 978 to 1016. It's not that Ethelred. It's an earlier one. It's Ethelred II of Northumbria. I can't find it in here, and I don't have the time to bugger it back today because this video goes on for so long, but with good reason, I tell you. Ethelred II was king of Northumbria in the middle of the 9th century. There you go. So that's him. It's not the other Ethelred. And very closely in the same area. Now, as I said in the film, it's an odd little section of pasture that I haven't found an awful lot in it over the years. I really haven't. But this came up. Now, there are dress tags and dress tags, but this one is an absolutely cracking one. I mean, it is in the most incredible condition. I'm not quite sure what's going on in the quadrants. It does seem to have some sort of detail and perhaps would have had some gilding or something on top of the paste that's left. I think that's what it must be. But I don't actually know. But I did have a quick look at dress hooks. They are a funny thing because you get these early ones, these Saxon ones, and I've found a few of them recently. Been really lucky. You get these early ones, and then in the medieval times, they completely disappear until the 16th and 17th century. They make a comeback. And I found this one about 2 days ago with a heart in the middle of it. And that's perfectly illustrative of what they look like after a few hundred years, when there were no dress hooks and no dress tags, they come back. And on the portable antiquities scheme here, you've got a very good general look on them. You get the early medieval hook tags, there they go, and then the early post-medieval hook tags. Hook tags are not used in the medieval period, but the form was revived in the 16th century. And there we go, got a good example of each. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. As I said, I've got to get on because there's too much to do, but I will see you later very quickly.
Well, we'll have a quick break off the tricky ones and dig a really nice one. Doesn't get much better. That is the sound you want on pasture. I don't think it's a cartridge. Just sounds too nice. There you go. Can you imagine if it's something horrible? The really buzzy, annoying, not annoying, wonderful, but uninspiring thing you could hardly hear is a silver Saxon coin. And then this will probably be something horrible. Still in there. And that clothes hook, that was on the surface. The moulds here bring things to the surface. Is it out? If it's not, it's jolly deep. I think it's been in the thing all along. Right, it's out now. Could go both ways, this. Well, it would probably have been something quite grand. Or it's a part of something quite grand, isn't it? No, I think what I've got is what I've got. It's a bit of copper, looking very heavily gilded. At one point, I think that's something. I don't think that's the colour of the copper. I think that is gold. Is it the end of a scabbard or shape or something? Not sure. Nothing particularly wonderful, but could have been once. It's the very end of September and it's boiling. But not complaining, I love it. We'll dig another really nice one, because I've got one here. Quite often you've got to ascertain if it's really, really, really fine and you know anything small is not going to be good if it's on the surface. If you know for a fact that you're in a place where if it's on the surface it's going to be no good, you've got to work out, and you will eventually with this machine, is it really, really faint because it's bigger and deeper, or is it really, really faint because it's smaller and very, very close to the surface and horrible and foily? You will get to tell that. You will get the hint, the very hint of a double beep without it being a double beep. And therefore, if you're in that sort of area, you know to avoid it. Now here, for example, iron there. Didn't know that was there. I don't think that is a deep buzzy one. I think it's fairly shallow and small. I don't think it's on the surface, but I think it's fairly shallow and small. And if you keep these settings as I'm telling you, you'll get to the bottom of all these nuances of this machine. Do you see? It's no more than 3 or 4 inches max. It just felt like that, even though the signal was very similar to other ones we've had, other little buzzy ones which are deeper. I'm not editing this. I am actually. Amazingly, I'm getting most of this right today. Well, look, it's really nothing to write home about. It's just a piece of lead. But I hope I demonstrated what was sort of going on there. It looks like it could be a... I don't think it is anything. It looks like a... if it were bronze, it might be the end of a duomorphic brooch, but it's not. Now, I wouldn't say this was borderline, because it's not iron. 99% it's not iron. But it's giving some faintly iron qualities, and by that I mean because it's quite big and semi-deep, I think iron can be very stretched out, and as we all know, certain types of iron can be incredibly deceiving. So, I mean, you could never beat yourself up for digging them up. And actually, while I'm on that point, if you're fairly new to the Deus, just like anything, dig everything for a year or so. And you'll learn pretty quickly what it's telling you. I mean, I can't explain everything. It's much better if you do it yourself. But that's obviously got no iron in it at all. But if that was slightly more squeaky and slightly more stretched, let me just... when I find what I mean, I'll video it. We won't dig it. I'll just video it. Otherwise, we're just wasting time. I'm not sure. I don't know if you saw in a couple of videos ago, I dug a Bronze Age pull stave, and a lot of people said, oh, it rings up just like iron. It doesn't actually ring up just like iron. Iron can something ring up a little bit like a Bronze Age pull stave, if that makes any sense. It sounded big and horrible and nasty, but it didn't sound irony, not at all. It's the other way round. Iron can sound like bronze, not bronze like iron. Yeah, it is deep, and actually it's bigger than the speaker is letting on. Be interesting if this is iron. If I was in a trashy place, I'd be leaning towards trash can, even though it's a bit too uniform for that. Aluminium can sound a bit sort of wavy in the fact that it sort of cries and stops at you a little bit. Well, I have no idea what this is. Maybe a big horse brass or something. Well, it's that. Can you believe it? just a big lead musket ball, giving that sound, giving that long stretched out sound. Very strange. I would have thought that was a huge bit of pot leg or something. Right, this is sort of what I mean, but I've got to come around this way to show you, so just listen. From one angle, this could have been good. If I'd come from this way, you would have thought, well, that might be its own signal. I don't think it is. I think it's part of a monster piece of iron. Now that really is too low, but if that was a little bit higher pitch, like the one we've just dug, you could be, and iron can come up like that. I'm not going to waste all day trying to find exactly what I mean. If I come across it, I'll show you. But you get the idea. It's a long, stretched out thing. So let's dig it and see what piece of iron makes what can. Yeah, there's no good bit amongst this, just the iron. But little bits of the edge. So you might come across something that's just going ding, 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 and move a little bit further into the signal, and then it's iron. I think it'll be a gold ring now. Nice old wrought iron. In many ways, I think it'd be fun to dig iron more often, but again, you'd be wasting your time. Look, that's rather lovely. That's probably ancient, isn't it? Bit sort of faceted head on that nail. Love it. You can dig up iron all day if you want, but are you then wasting time when you could be digging something else? I'm afraid in my way of thinking, that's what it boils down to. You can dig everything. But if you've only got 4 hours out and you're in a field that you may come back to time and time again, you can dig it another time. I think you've got to limit yourself to what you think is what you have the best probability of something being good. If something's got a 90% possibility of being bad, but you're digging it anyway, then you're wasting your time. Don't dig up the 90% good chance first. Then 4 years later, if you're still alive, you can come back and dig all those horrible signals and prove that they were horrible in the first place. But if you really are just gridding, just for the first time, just digging everything when you pretty much know what it's going to be, horrible, then I mean it, you're just wasting your time. Well, my cameras are running out of batteries with all the boring chat I'm giving you today. But look at these slightly unusual leady things I've found. I don't know what that was meant to be, but that looks bloody old if you ask me. Bashed up at the back. It looks like it's something. I wonder if it's something in the middle. I don't know. And then this. Now, I really thought Anglo Saxon brooch, because they made those out of lead. There's no brooch fitting at all on the back. And brooch fittings and badge fittings haven't changed in about 3,000 years. You still get a little hinge on one side and a safety pin type clip on the other. There's none of that going on, so I don't know about that. Is it a button of sorts? Do they make lead buttons? I mean, it's really cool. And then this gave a lovely sound, as you can imagine. Now, it's just a bit of bronze, I think. But is there something on it? A bird or a lizard or something? Is there anything on that side? Is that a brooch of sorts? I don't know. We'll clean it up and have a little look. But 3 really cool things. God, I'm having a good day. Whoa. Well, I've had to move the field because they've got a bit of a grumpy horse coming into that one. And just before I left, as I said, I'm not digging obvious signals today. I'll show you what I find of obvious signals, but I'm trying to find the tricky ones at the moment. But I found the most incredible hammered coin in the last one. And the silver is just absolutely beautiful. I don't know what's going on it. It's just wonderful. I think it might be one of the later ones. It's not an Edward. I can stick my neck out and say that, and it might well be a continental sterling one. But the whole point of the continental ones that came over, which were imitating the Edwardian coins of the time in about the 13th, 14th. I don't know when that camera turned off. It's run out of battery. I've done so many today. I'll show you what they sounded like. If you didn't hear any of that, I found 2 hammered coins. Rather a wonderful one in the hole there, and then one I haven't really checked out yet. You can see again, that's now about, well, I'm going to put it right at the bottom. That's now about 8 inches down. That's all you're going to hear. All you're going to hear. The faintest buzz. And when it comes out, that faint buzz, it's going to sound like this. Now this one's the one I've just found. I'll show you that in a minute if you haven't seen it already. It's just phenomenal. I think it could even be a sterling continental, but it's the most beautiful colour. And then I've been forced to move field because they're putting a nasty horse in there. And I don't do this field very often, mainly because I don't find much in it. But look. 2 hammered coins, very similar size. This one is an absolute stonker as well. I'm not digging obvious signals today. I'll show you if I find something wonderful like this. But I'm not going to actually I'm not going to live dig them. Well, that does look like an Edward penny. It's seen better days. The portrait's rather good. The cross on the back is less good. But this one really is beautiful. I don't know what's going on. Does it say Henricus? No, it doesn't. I just don't know. But it's not Edward. I think it might be a sterling imitation, a 13th or 14th century coin that's come over here to imitate, slightly imitate the English coins of the time, which were very good quality, and the rest of Europe wanted to have similar standard, but they were interchangeable as well if you did know what you were dealing with. But quite often, because they look like lawn crosses, you didn't. And I just don't know. I don't know about that one. That's fabulous. I tell you what we'll do very, very quickly, just to break all this up. I really want to go back and have a look at this one properly because I think it's an unusual one. We'll look at this one at the same time. Okay, let's go back to headquarters. Of course, the sound in the last headquarters bit must have been terrible because I didn't have my thing turned on. Anyway, just really quickly to look at these 3 coins. Now, the farthing, you can't really tell from the video, but just look how tiny these things are. Your metal detector really is working well. When you are finding little bits of silver which are really that small, high tasks, don't jump up on me. Come, just put your feet. You're wet because you've been outside. I don't want you jumping up. Anyway, but as I said, you can't really appreciate how tiny these coins are, and to find that at anything over 3 or 4 inches you're not doing anything wrong, and that's what it is anyhow. It's a medieval London farthing of sorts, an Edward, well, 13th century. Absolutely thrilled with that. And then this is the one I really wanted to show you because it really is absolutely beautiful. You can't really see the portrait, but the lettering on the outside and the fact that it's been completely unclipped, and the quality of the silver is all rather wonderful. And hooray, I was right for once, because I'm always calling anything I don't really know what it is. I always say probably a continental sterling imitation, and it never is. It's always an Edward penny or something like that. But this one is, because the Warlock collectors who can tell what coin you've got before you even send them a photograph of it has confirmed that it's John of Avesnes. Avesnes sterling, so that's what I think it is. I haven't quite had the time to look it up yet, but that's what it is, a continental copy, and that's why you've got the long cross, the cross on that side. But it's a nice big bit of silver. I'm thrilled with that. And then finally this one, which Electus also reckons is an Edward I Berwick penny, so that's quite nice too. And therefore just 3 or 4 really incredible bits of silver. I mean, we really did have the most phenomenal day, which is just perfect because I really did want it to be a success. Anyhow, let's go back to fields one more time quickly, just for another quick look at some iffy signals which do yield up some pretty cool results, and I hope the whole video has been a help. It was really fun to make. Anyway, let's go back. We're not going to dig this. I'm just going to show you. I don't know what big iron sounds like on other machines when it's pretending to be not iron. Obviously iron there. But if you approach it from this side, And that was the first thing you heard. Do you see what I mean? Big, horrible iron all day. But you can kid yourself into that being good if you wanted to. Ooh. No, it's iron. That was what I was trying to explain earlier. Well, here's possibly a better example. If you just come across it there, almost diggable. It's not, but almost. Long, stretch, perfect two-way signal. Even there, but listen now. That's not a good signal amongst iron. That's just iron. Well, this will have to be the last live dig. I don't know if that camera is looking at me in the right way or not. There's all sorts of things going on here, and it has been fabulous. And if there's anything to take away, it's just the low sounds which sound irony or amongst iron. Those are the ones that have really got to be explored in an area that you've done to bits, or in an area where you're not finding anything particularly obvious. You've got to start going for these ones. Right, iron there. Something that could be made to be sound good in the middle of all that, but it's not. Just part of the iron. Again, that's just part of the iron. Those little squeaks you get amongst it. And then, just here, just there, little buzzy one. And even in, that's sounding stuttery, isn't it? But it's not, it's its own signal. And as I do remind you, it's slightly higher pitched in my ears. The speaker just lowers the pitch slightly. That's not a bad side. I know live digs is cartridge, isn't it? Yeah, it's just depth that. I never get my pinpointer out too early if I can be bothered. Again, it's just wasting time. Pinpoint it with your machine first, otherwise you're going up and down, up and down. It's all to do with time management. Do you know what? Pinpointing fine, it's just deep. So that's looking more like a piece of modern ammunition, I'm afraid, if it... Well, I don't know. Fabulous. That's a buckle. It's a lovely buckle. Look at it. Listen to what it sounds like now. I mean, any old fool can dig that out of arable. But if that was even another little bit deeper, another 3 or 4 inches, maybe, or just 2 even, it would have been... That's what you've got to look out for. I don't know how other machines work. I don't know how the Manticore works. I've only used this in a Garrett and a very, very old-fashioned one before that. But you've just got to train your ears to pick those things out and have no discrimination at all. I really believe it. Full tone to no discrimination gives you the maximum chance of finding this stuff. Now that's lovely. It's a nice old buckle with a roller, I think. Missing its pin, got its strap end still, and it's not going to win any beauty awards, but it's a complete medieval buckle. Thank you very much for watching all that, if you're still with me, and I hope you learned something, and I hope some of that advice goes in, and if you don't agree with it, then please tell me. But it's just, having used the Deus and now the Deus II just solely with my ears for so long now, I do feel I'm in a quite a good position to be able to impart some knowledge now. So I hope it was helpful, and see you next time. Yay!